Hello world, I'm What If Study, and today we are doing What If Deku was the reincarnation of the strongest hero, part 3. So, Deku and Midnight are sitting at the table, conversing and sort of talking as the midnight starts to drow. The rest of most people start to leave, however, there's still like 15 people left at least. Their conversation goes on and on about the past, about history, about all this rest of the stuff. As Deku starts to draw on all of those tendencies, she seems to have a lot of knowledge about the history. As he asks, you seem to know much about the history of this world and the many people that inhabit it. Would you be a historian? No. I actually was a part of a children's hospital. Once they ran out of, stuff to put the children out before, they gave them the drugs to kill them, I had to put them out. Put them to sleep before they would die. It was well-paying. I didn't do it for that, however. I just wished to talk with the kids, try to see if they would be fine. However, many of them were not. I fell in love with a lot of them. They were the light of my life, the parts that made me whole. However, once I found that I couldn't save them, I couldn't help them in any way before, it broke my heart to see a lot of them go. I decided to be that shining hero, that hope that many of them spoke about, all might, saving a lot of them. I wanted to be out there saving them before I had to put them to sleep. I didn't want that to happen ever again. I didn't want it. None of it. I see. You're quite the interesting woman, Kayami. Please, call me Namuri. Fine. By the way, why did you shut me down earlier? You mean that lust in the eyes? I've seen it many times before. It only distracts heroes. Only keeps them from doing their work. When you look at a lover, you should see the stone. Or the opposite sex, at least. I don't care what happens now. Our duty to our job is all that matters. The relationships will only get in our way. So what was those moves that you put on me before? Oh, that? Well, that was just to get information. You call that information getting? You're going to get a lot of ladies when you're in the spy business then. What about the lust in your eyes, Namuri? Oh, those? That was just something that comes out of me sometimes. I'm single, a widow actually. I promised to never love again to that man. What a fool, but I never have forgotten. Falling in love with a 16-year-old now sounds worse. I'm sorry, 15! Oh, what am I doing? No, it's fine. Oh, so you're saying you accept me? What? No, that's not what I said. No, that sounds exactly what you said. That's not what I said. Oh, come on now. Would it be such a shame to be with an old woman like me? Please, you're not that old. And with the compliments. Wow, you are just great at this. Oh my god, how is she doing this? What are you doing? You're just so nice. How could I never? You're just such a nice lad. Oh, if I could just take you right now. Forcing me to freaking, to be nice to you, to compliment you? I've never heard of this type of quirk. She's like, oh no, that's not my quirk. What was that? Oh, that was just something I've been working on. You know, little kids are just so easy to change how they think, use their words against themselves. I never thought it would work against, what you said, a 453-year-old man. 456, if I'm correct. Oh, so intimidating. Don't patronize me. I was the god of this world, basically, back then at least. Oh, so strong, so strong. He says, yes, quite. And from what I've heard, nobody else here is strong enough to even compare. I can't win against you, can I? You can never. Not in a strength contest, you dumb-bowed idiot. This is a horrible idea anyways. But what about that lust in your eyes? Come on. Give me a little bit more information. Just a little bit more. I've already told you everything, Midoriya. Please. Call me Alon. Alright, Alon. I actually thought that if somebody as powerful as you would come along, I would, well, get rid of my promise. Go back on it. I never thought I would have to because, well, All Might seemed the closest, and he's barely even interested in me. But you, child, you've gone past that, haven't you? That power barrier. I may have, but would that affect your decision then? As suddenly she snaps her fingers, and gas starts to flow out from her pores as it consumes the rest of this room, making everybody fall asleep. She says, well, I might have to go back on that promise then, won't I? As Deku, controlling the body, immediately, it's like, run. This isn't supposed to happen. You said we were just gonna talk. And Alon's like, we were just going to talk. I don't know why she's doing this. He's like, I was doing all that. I didn't realize I affected her that much. She's like, someone as powerful as you were to wed somebody like me. Well, we'd be the best power couple. As she puts her hands on her cheeks, thinking about the future, and then looks and stares down with intense lust, staring him down. He's like, shit. As then Deku's flight, kicks in. He immediately busts out the door. As she looks back and then sees him gone, she just starts running after him. She's like, where are you going? We were having such a nice time. You're so mean. As then he's like, I can't do this right now. And Alon's like, I mean, maybe? He's like, Deku's like, no, not right now. Shut up. If I fall in love with my future teacher, oh my god, that'll be the worst. That'll be so awkward. He's like, how do you know that she'll be your future teacher? He's like, shut up! As then, he's being chased down throughout the shadows and finally makes his way out. Almost a search was on him, right? She was like, yeah, no, a random hero is lost in the city. We gotta go find him. He's been affected by a villain's quirk and is lost, had full search teams. Anyways, call me Alon. Alright, Alon. I actually thought that if somebody as powerful as you would come along, I would, well, get rid of my promise. Go back on it. I never thought I would have to because, well, All Might seemed the closest, and he's barely even interested in me. But you, child, you've gone past that, haven't you? That power barrier. I may have, but would that affect your decision then? As suddenly she snaps her fingers, and gas starts to flow out from her pores as it consumes the rest of this room, making everybody fall asleep. She says, well, I might have to go back on that promise then, won't I? As Deku, controlling the body, immediately, it's like, run. This isn't supposed to happen. You said we were just gonna talk. And Alon's like, we were just going to talk. I don't know why she's doing this. he's like, I was doing all that. I didn't realize I affected her that much. She's like, someone as powerful as you were to wed somebody like me. Well, we would be the best power couple. As she puts her hands on her cheeks, thinking about the future, and then looks and stares down with like intense lust, like staring him down. He's like, shit. As then Deku's like fight or flight, kicks in. He immediately busts out the door. As she looks back and then sees him gone, she just starts running after him. She's like, where are you going? We were having such a nice time. You're so mean. As then he's like, I can't do this right now. And Alon's like, I mean, maybe? He's like, Deku's like, no, not right now. Shut up. If I fall in love with my future teacher, oh my god, that'll be the worst. That'll be so awkward. He's like, how do you know that she'll be your future teacher? He's like, shut up! As then, he's being chased down throughout the shadows and finally makes his way out. Almost a search was on him, right? She was like, yeah, no, a random hero is like lost in the city. We gotta go find him. He's been affected by a villain's quirk and is lost. Anyways, Deku makes his way through the streets as, his natural instincts start to kick in from Alon, and guides him back to his own house, also combining with the memories of Deku. Deku and Alon start to get much more friendly with each other, starting to go through all of the history that Deku knows, and also Alon trying to open up Deku to himself, starts to get on Deku's level. He starts to understand his whole act, his whole problem, and understands that he's been through a lot. I mean, not having a father, yikes. It's not like he had one, but, other than that, who died before he was 35, back when people, it was impressive just to be above 35. That was, like, huge. So, Deku anyways trying to accept Alon because he has no other choice, says that maybe we should train together, and Alon's like, I guess that'll work, as if they both share the same body. So, I mean, if they fail at, trying to think at the same exact time, like they were before, they were thinking at the same time, they were reacting at the same time. If they were to do that, and like one of them was to hold it primarily, maybe that would work, and have the other help, look behind, like two eyes. And Deku, when trying to test this out, this is right before the sports test, right? So the sports test comes along, right? Deku and Alon make their way to the stadium and the whole thingy. Bakugo's still an asshole. They go throughout, they listen to President Mike. However, President Mike can almost sense the extreme power coming from Alon, in spirit form at least, because President Mike has power over, the voice waves, and voice waves, anything that's not physically can sense Alon, and Alon threatens him, and it's like, he's like, maybe I should, he gets that crazy eyes, he's like, wait a minute, I sense something, in the crowd and stuff. He's not able to pick it out before he has to let everybody go. However, Bakugo does present himself as, a sort of intimidation, and President Mike thinks that it's Bakugo. Deku kneels down and is like, finally, it's time to release the power that I have built up from Alon. And Alon's like, show me what you've learned and what I've taught you. Alon had actually, to give you some history on why Deku is now getting into like a position and all this stuff, how he's been charging up and stuff like that, is that she actually caught Deku, and Nimuri, freaking Midnight had caught them. She brings them in and is like, why don't you love me? Come on. And she says, listen, okay? I'll continue to date you, if you give me a training place. If you allow me to train at UA. She's like, oh, of course, we can definitely do that. And Nemuri, she has built up power over, that place for a while now. And actually, he gets a conference with the mouse guy, whoever he is. And the mouse guy is super smart, right? But he can only feel physically. So seeing this, kid sit down and then start talking like this, he's like, what the something's clearly happening here. So he tries to pry it out of Deku. Deku's like, I need your help right now, Alawa, as, he challenges him to like a game of chess, and Alawa has to come through and's like, I can beat you. And then like checks him and then immediately gets checkmated. However, that was only supposed to bring out Alawa. And he's like, well, hello. Now who would you be? As then Alawa's like, oh, fuck. He's like, hi, President Nezu. I believe that you're one of the most powerful heroes here, at least in intelligence form. He's like, well, you may be right about that, but, complimenting me will only get you so far. What are you here for, really? He says, the heroes, they're weak. Everyone here needs to be stronger. That's all I know. And Nezu's like, oh, really? He says, I need a training grounds right here, right now. And he's like, what power would you have to do that? Just Nimuru? I mean, President Nezu is like, all you have is midnight behind you, okay? What power do you have? He's like, if I can beat top 5 heroes, then you'll allow me into the training facilities. And Nezu's like, I mean, if he proves himself to be stronger than top 5, which would include the Orca, I think, guy. And so he's immediately placed into a fake city with the Orca guy while the tests are going on. So I wouldn't say that any of that other stuff happens. No, not past. I just wanted to go back. It's just like an edit, basically. He actually is put into a training ground instead of going up and defeating all the robots. Instead, he is underground facing off against the Orca guy, who has his Orca minions come after him. However, he swiftly blasts through all of them, lightning arcing around his feet, and his intense stare that comes over his eyes as he gets into a stance allowing Alawa to take, full power over his body. Right now, they can only do, like, half and half, basically. Deku being on the legs, and then Alawa being on the arms, which they've been training at for a few years now, so they're fine. But it's just, like, it's a little bit disorienting, and they've never been in actual combat, which Alawa knew was going to be a problem. However, he thought that just him being in actual combat would help, but Deku on legs, not very great, because all he wants to do is run away. So that's a problem. However, Alawa makes the most sense of it by dragging minions along with him along the ground, destroying them and throwing them into the ground as they're just robots. So he can do whatever he wants to them. He takes up one of their heads and then like wraps it up into a bowling ball, like few heads, and then wraps them all up into like a bowling ball and then like throws it and like arcs it through a lot of them. He has very brutal methods to all of his ways of defeating enemies. The lightning, however, is all that he can unlock right now. It's not like it's all for one. He's not one for all. He doesn't have that. However, he does have the survival techniques, that of a god. And, he is the lightning master, the lightning overlord. He was proclaimed as Zeus almost back in his day. After all, he was able to, summon gigantic storms, and he was beloved by all. So Zeus kind of fit, almost. And his fondling with women was also sort of on the top. However, he was very much a hypocrite, actually. How he would always say that you should see a stone when you look at women, but, he flirts a lot. Other than that, he continues his rampage until Orca finally comes out. Into particular, villain form, as he's used to being put as. He shrieks onto the ground, blowing up everything below him. He has to save 3 people's lives by picking up the building before it crashes onto people. However, instead of that, he replaces it with a rock that holds up the building itself. 4 rocks on the sides of it, as quick as he can, because he doesn't have enough strength in general to do that. Deku leaves in order to catch up with Orca, and is constantly being held back by his own body's, weakness. He didn't schedule this in. He was only training his body, so he's only fast. He's not strong in particular. He matches blows with Orca. However, Orca's shrieks constantly knock him off his guard. Deku actually finally finds out a way, as he picks up a trash bag that he had found earlier from, the dust that was blowing around. He shoves it onto Orca and then wraps it around his mouth onto the back and then ties it, and then starts arcing up, stomach punches into his back. Once Orca finally turns around and then tries his sonic scream, the trash bag reflects all of it, almost blowing up his sound, his vocal cords, basically. As they call the match and Deku is declared the winner, Deku now has full access to the training arenas and everybody there. Deku had signed a contract with Nezu for this. The contract was made by Deku, actually. And Nezu had anticipated Deku, actually. He had still only seen a kid. And this was the first time that Nezu had been outsmarted in his whole life. The contract said that he also had control over most of the heroes. About, 90% of them? He can't believe that he missed that, and he orders almost all of them, as long as they have the time, to start training in the training grounds. He starts improving it day after day, making as he built up money over doing mercenary work when he was just before doing mercenary work, basically. He spends all of that upgrading the gym to the best of his ability. With all the heroes now working their hardest to become better by themselves, it made more sense. Even Endeavor came to the grounds and thought that it was disrespectful for a kid to be ordering around adults. However, the agreement is held over Endeavor's head how much he hates it. Endeavor is not controlled by Deku, however. Although Deku constantly asks him to spar, and is constantly defeated by Endeavor every single time. However, Endeavor does see a good arc in his sort of training style. And Endeavor is sufficiently impressed, which is all that Deku was after. Deku, I think that'll be it. Thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you sometime, somewhere. Goodbye.